Hello, my name is Ian McVeigh, and I'm a project manager with the Ontario Climate Consortium based within the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. I'm joined by my partner Kirby Calvert, assistant professor within the University of Guelph's Department of Geography. We are here to talk to you about the Community Energy Knowledge Action Partnership, or CEKAP for short, and in particular, our Knowledge Action Agenda. Now, before we get into the details, I'd just like to lay some background and context for why we brought this partnership together. We see community energy and community energy planning as an emerging field of policy and practice, emerging both at the grassroots level through community activism and engagement, as well as through municipally led efforts. These are emerging in response to a range of public policy challenges. On the one hand, we have the climate change imperative and the need to drive greenhouse gas emissions down to essentially near zero over the coming decades. And on the other hand, we have the emergence of disruptive energy technologies like distributed renewables, energy storage, and district energy systems. And all of these are creating challenges to the established and traditional energy regulation frameworks that guide planning in communities across Canada. So along with these public policy challenges are also a range of important research questions, like what kind of business models, institutional frameworks are needed to ensure effective implementation of community energy systems, and what kind of municipal policy and provincial policy levers are needed to help enable communities to move forward. In order to help communities and municipalities respond to some of these emerging research questions and challenges, we brought together academics, municipal governments, civil society groups, and other governance partners, thanks to a 3-year SSHRC Partnership Development Grant. On the academic side, we have a multidisciplinary group of researchers from across Canada. We have Dr. Michelle Adams from Dalhousie University in Halifax, who brings perspectives on regional sustainability and renewable energy technologies. We have Dr. Mark Jackard from Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, who brings energy economy modeling expertise. Dr. Jamie Baxter from Western University in London, who brings community engagement expertise, particularly in the context of emerging energy technologies. We have Dr. Mark Winfield from York University, who brings expertise around energy policy, both at the provincial and at the federal level. And finally, Dr. Kirby Calvert at the University of Guelph, my partner in crime, who brings expertise around geographic information systems, or GIS, as well as looking at the landscape level impacts of renewable energy technologies. So with this multidisciplinary group of research experts, we're looking to connect with the applied policy questions and challenges expressed by our municipal government partners, as well as other government partners, both civil society and other provincial and regional agencies, to again co-define a research agenda and leverage the resources and expertise that exists within our academic community to help support decision making and build the knowledge base around community energy planning and implementation.
CEKAP hopes to add value to existing research in this space in terms of the way in which it identifies research challenges and research themes. The traditional approach in academia has been for academics to identify knowledge gaps in literature and then to design research projects that were consistent with filling those knowledge gaps. CEKAP hopes to approach it slightly differently. We hope to co-develop research questions between academic partners and non-academic partners. And in this way, we hope to combine literature and our understanding of best practices and what we know and don't know with the way in which the problems are actually being experienced on the ground in real time. This, as you can imagine, is an iterative, long-term process based on reciprocity and trust and mutual respect. And for us, it began by convening an academic research team. So we looked across Canada and identified those researchers who were doing innovative and interesting research in or related to community energy and community energy planning. We brought those academic partners together with possible non-academic partners, people who were experiencing the problem, who had research needs, and held small group meetings, one-on-one meetings, teleconferences, where we were discussing the high-level challenges that can be met with research. And so we coalesced and combined all of that feedback and identified some emerging major themes that were coming out of all of those conversations and put it together in a proposal that we submitted to SSHRC, and made the case that CEKAP, as a partnership, could be equipped and prepared to meet those research challenges with targeted research. We were fortunate enough to receive that funding, and with it, we held follow-up small group meetings and surveys, went back to our academic research partners, and asked about core research themes consistent with those initial challenges. So the goal was to drill down further and figure out the research themes that could help us overcome or better understand those research challenges.
Now, through the process that Kirby just described, we were able to narrow our focus down to two core challenges with respect to community energy planning and implementation. The first one being the need to align across orders of government, so looking at particularly the provincial municipal alignment, and within the municipal sphere, understanding that in some provinces we have a tiered governance framework, within Ontario, for example, an upper tier and lower tier situation. And so how best can we align policy frameworks, institutions, policy directions across these orders of government to enable implementation at the local scale of community energy solutions? That's one of more of a sort of vertical governance challenge. Related to that is our second challenge, which is more of a horizontal governance challenge, looking within the municipality and the community and understanding how best to enable cooperation between municipal departments who often operate in a sort of siloed context of planning and buildings and energy and environment, how best to enable cooperation across those departments, as well as in the broader community, understanding how and when to engage communities in the planning and implementation process. So within those two overarching challenges, we have 6 key research themes. We have measuring success and key performance indicators, data and decision support tools, both of which are closely related and relate really to, one, how to communicate the value proposition for community energy, as well as how to reflect on whether we're having the desired success or desired outcomes. We have regulatory alignments, which I just alluded to, an example of which is understanding how to align the regulatory framework surrounding local distribution companies, which are in Ontario are typically owned by municipal governments, but are constrained by energy policy frameworks that are set by the province. We have community engagement processes and understanding, again, how and when to engage community members and how to get their buy-in and support for implementation. We have strategic partnerships and stakeholder engagement, which really is focusing on some of those key energy stakeholders in a community or within a municipality, such as hospitals, university campuses, private sector campuses, who are the key players that need to be involved in implementing any community-wide solution, and how best to engage them in a way that's going to lead to long-term success. And finally, we have regional and intermunicipal collaboration, so looking at how best to collaborate between urban and rural municipalities, as well as on a regional basis, how to collaborate across municipal governments.
So the research themes that Ian was just describing identify the ways in which CEKAP can help to meet the research challenges we identified very early in this process through targeted research. And collectively, those research themes, situated within those research challenges, will define CEKAP's research program moving forward. So these are strategic direction for the next 3, 10, hopefully many years. What we needed to do as researchers was identify the specific research questions within each of those themes. In other words, we needed to drill down a little bit deeper. So to do this brings us back to the process by which we've established the knowledge action agenda. We used those research teams as a focal point for conversation for a full partnership meeting. So about 30 of us met in Vaughan at the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. We were joined on the line through teleconference by our counterparts and partners in British Columbia who met in Vancouver, and from Nova Scotia who met in Halifax. And so the full partnership was either virtually or actually in the same room together. And what we did was we put those research themes on the table, open for discussion, to try to figure out what research questions should be prioritized, which research questions were the most realistic, feasible, and productive. So we broke off into small group meetings at this full partnership meeting, came back together as a full group, shared our results. After the meeting, the academic team mashed up all of that feedback and pulled from all of that feedback at the full partnership meeting a number of research questions that we thought were common across many of our partners. And so we wrapped all of this up into a post-meeting survey, which included the list of key themes, as well as research questions within the key themes that we had heard over the course of that full partnership meeting. And we asked our partners and the survey participants to validate those, to make sure that we were interpreting what we were hearing in the way that they had hoped, and also to prioritize among those research initiatives. And so I'll share some of the results of that survey in a moment, but just to follow through on the process here, what we're doing now is meeting as a research team, now that the ball is in our court, and now that we have the information we need, we are meeting to establish research plans, recruit students, fundraise, and try to bring the capacity we need to help meet the priorities that were stated. And we, of course, hope to hold follow-up full partnership meetings on an annual basis. And at our next meetings, we will be able to share some of the preliminary research findings and continue to collect feedback through these full partnership meetings, as well as post-meeting surveys, on new research priorities that may have emerged, or on corrective action. And maybe the partnership is interested in seeing the same research question addressed in a different way. And so as you can see here, this is a feedback loop. So we hope, for as long as CEKAP is operating, to be holding these annual meetings where we continue to bring the academic team, the practitioner team, knowledge mobilizers, and governance partners together to continue to co-develop this agenda and update this agenda. What you're seeing here are just some of the results of the survey that we issued after the full partnership meeting. And so here we're just showing the relative ranks of the 6 research themes, with data and decision support tools and strategic partnerships coming out on top. And if we look down the list there, we see community engagement processes, regional intermunicipal collaborations as ranked relatively highly by our municipal partners, although low by our non-municipal partners. And so this kind of information can help us to prioritize research projects and think about the ways we might want to respond to other funding opportunities. But more importantly, within each of these research themes, we asked the partnership to rank specific research questions. So each research theme has associated with it about 2 to 4 specific research questions that will drive a particular research project of either a graduate student or a faculty member over the course of 1 to 2 to 3 years. Now, the list of questions is quite long. It is also quite interesting and intriguing. And so we're not going to share it with you here because that would be quite overwhelming to go through it all, but we do hope that you will visit that list. We have published it and made it available on our website. And so feel free to go through it, to provide any new feedback or thoughts. Maybe you have ideas on resources that might help us to answer those questions sooner rather than later. But in any case, they will be available to you on the website.
Now, over the past 4 months since we convened our partners in the kickoff meeting, we haven't just been sitting on our hands or focus on this agenda, we've also been implementing a number of research projects. I'm going to mention two here, which have outputs that are available now on our website. So the first one I want to mention is Mark Jackard and his group at SFU have done some extensive modeling work with the City of Vancouver in support of their renewable city strategy, looking at the relative impact of various municipal policy levers in terms of driving emissions down and supporting the city's goal of achieving 100% renewable energy by 2050. So that report is available up on our website, and we are quite keen to extend that model of research to other communities within the CEKAP partnership. The second one I want to point out is research that was completed by myself in partnership with Karen Farbridge and Kirby Calvert, with expert advice from Mark Winfield, looking at net zero community policy and practice in Ontario. We conducted 5 case studies: London, Guelph, Ottawa, Brampton, and Toronto, where there are developments in place or proposed that are aiming to achieve net zero either on an energy or a carbon basis. And we conducted an in-depth policy review at the municipal level, official plan, secondary plan, zoning bylaws, as well as a set of key stakeholder interviews with municipal government staff and the private sector developers, really to try and uncover how municipal policy and provincial policy help to enable or perhaps challenge the development in question. And so through that, we've identified a whole range of potential roles for municipal government, provincial government, as well as developers in enabling the scaling up of net zero community policy. So those 2 reports respond to some of our key research themes. Again, Jackard's work responding to data and decision support tools, and the Net Zero Communities work speaking to regulatory alignments, strategic partnerships, and community engagement. So we look forward to continuing some of those research efforts underway, and we'll be sharing them with you as they emerge. So please do go to our website, www.ckap.ca, to check out those resources, to find a copy of the Knowledge Action Agenda. I encourage you to sign up to our blog, where you'll be able to stay up to date with our activities as they unfold, and follow us on Twitter at CEKAP_Canada. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to collaborating with you over the coming years.